Howdy folks, welcome along to At Odds, all thanks to the great team at unibet.com.au. Haven't they been sensational over the last couple of weeks with all of the specials, the reboosts and all of the good things on the promos page. Here's the team, Brian Fletcher, Mark Waugh and Shane Heel, who tipped us into Sydney Kings last week as the moral.
Let us down.
You're only as good as your last bet, my friend.
We gave a little bit back.
Good.
Well, wait this week.
Quickly talk about what happened briefly last week. I think everyone was glued to the tellies on Friday night to watch Big Bad Barry Hall versus Paul Gutsy Gallen.
It's good, wasn't it?
I thought it was a good punch-on.
Yeah.
I'm not
Good
unhappy
fight.
with the draw.
Well, you know what? We had the argument last week about who's tougher. I think if it went to 3 rounds, if it was 3-minute rounds, I think Gal comes out on top.
Yeah.
I think that.
But I think if they fight again, Barry Hall wins.
No.
They're going to fight again?
No.
They
Yeah,
have to.
it's going to be 3-minute rounds.
Barry Hall said he thought that Gallen should have won, and Gal went off his
One
top
judge
side.
did give it to Gal.
Yeah, but 2 judges didn't.
No, but one judge did. The other 2 were a draw.
Okay, so...
Barry looked better, put it that way.
Yeah.
Barry
But
looked...
Are you suspecting
As
that...
in the face? After,
No, just technique-wise.
Oh, technique.
Where
Was it
Gal
good
just
for-
was walking through
Good
the
for
front.
boxing or bad for boxing?
I think it was good.
Great for
Everyone's
boxing.
talking about it.
Well done.
Why don't you have a go, Fletch? I reckon you'd be able to knock out with that
Easy.
big scone of yours.
Easy. I'd give it a Sonny Bill.
Maybe next time you and Hindy do the
Oh,
precursor.
please, I want someone who can fight. He's a cat, Iron Munch. You see him play on the weekend?
Hammer
No,
and
he's
Fletch.
outside my weight
Yeah.
class.
Okay,
teammates anyway, bro.
That was,
Yeah,
it was
don't worry about that.
surprisingly
What they do in the NBA.
the most talked about, most clicked on news story of the week between a couple of ex-footy players in boxing. That's a bit scary. The other one that was big news this week, Cameron Smith looks like he's continuing, and he might even go as a halfback. Not sure if that's the right move, but what do you think, Brian Fletcher?
Look, no doubt he could handle it. And I suppose him defending on an edge, he's not going to have to make those 50 tackles a game, which he usually does. But you don't move the greatest hooker of all time into number 7. I just think he'll play.
He'll be a bit slower and he won't be a line breaker, so it'd be pretty easy to read against, wouldn't he?
Yeah, and what he does too also, the way he plays, if you notice, he won't go to dump. So the ball moves over to that side of the field. He doesn't go over there. He's a linked man, so he sort of does play a little bit of 7. But Cameron Smith is the world's best world's best hooker. Has been the world's best player for
20 years he's played hooker.
Okay, that's the world's best. According to a good mate of mine, the world's worst selection happened in cricket circles this week, and it was a surprising one.
Very surprising that Cameron Bancroft made the 14 for the first 2 tests. What happens now is they have a spare batsman in the squad because of the concussion rule. So if someone gets concussed, then a batsman can come in, take his spot. So that's happened a few times in the recent past with Labuschagne in England. So that's why there's 14 in the squad. Bancroft, you've got to say, he's lucky. I mean, he's been out of form in the Shield season. I think he's averaging 11. Looked out of nick against England. But he's in the squad. He won't play. Travis Head will play.
Why? What's their mindset?
Well, look, I think he was picked last year and was in pretty decent form. He's a good, tough kid, good mindset, works hard, all those things. But at the end of the day, his technique, I think, needs to improve a lot for him to stand up. And to be honest, the guys that were in the running for this first test, none of them made any runs. I mean, Joe Burns has got in there making no runs because Marcus Harris basically has failed, in recent times. Daniel Hughes should have been really thought about, I think, at the top, but he's on the periphery. But Burns will open. Travis Head will come in at number 6.
Okay,
Michael Neese will be 12th man.
$1.25 Australia, not stealing your thunder. $7 Pakistan, draw $8.50. Weather forecast is
Good.
Brisbane. Good.
Good 3 up there. The
Can
weather
you
forecast.
find some value outside of the $1.25?
It's tough. I mean, top run scorers, top wicket takers. Smith, it's hard to bet against Smith, but if you want to bet against Smith, I'd go someone like Matthew Wade at $7.50. If Australia were to lose a couple of early wickets, which is possible, he's in pretty good nick, Matthew Wade, at $7.50. Babar Azam looks the logical choice for Pakistan, top run scorer. With the wicket takers, Mohammad Abbas is favourite at $3.50. He's a pretty good bowler, good seam bowler, so he's probably going to take the bulk of the wickets there. As for Australia, I mean, you've got Cummins, Hazelwood, Stark. That's a flip of the coin, isn't it?
And the 16-year-old?
I know.
It's a big call if he gets a start.
16-year-old, he can't be 16. How big is he?
He can be 16.
He is 16, I think. And
Khan
he's
is
got a
16.
moustache, but he bowls 150 Ks, a 16-year-old. That's unbelievable. He's one to watch out for. He'll probably play, actually, I reckon.
What were you doing at 16, Russ?
I wasn't bowling 150 Ks, and if I was, it would have been illegal.
And didn't his mother pass away?
Yes, last week during that A tour match, he had one day off.
Yeah,
more
so
his
he's
mother
obviously...
than he played the next day. So
That's a tough little kid.
Yeah.
there.
yeah, he's tough.
Well, good
tough
luck
big
to
kid,
him,
actually.
and hopefully. But as I say,
Australia should win.
there's not a lot of value in that test, and also there's probably a little bit of value just quickly in the England-New Zealand one.
Yeah, well,
across the way.
that's a flip of the coin. I'm going to tip New Zealand there, and actually that'll be later in my my slam dunk. So a bit more value there, but that's a very even contest.
Okay, Hammer. I jested about the disappointing result of the Kings. They did win, but we all took -10.5, and in the end just got nailed. You're allowed 1
Disappointing.
week to bounce back, and I'm sure you will.
Disappointing.
Give us some mail on the NBA first up.
Well, there's a bit of talk about Ben Simmons and a bit of a form slump this year, down to
Has he got any
13 points a
threes?
game. No threes. I don't think he's even taken any. I mean, so he hasn't evolved his game, but that's not what's disappointing. Probably down from 17 points a game. We've got some superstars. This kid at Dallas, Doncic, is unbelievable. He had 40 yesterday. He had 14 points, four rebounds, 4 assists at quarter time. He's a superstar as a 20-year-old. So probably leaving Ben a little bit behind as far as the growth going. And Philly aren't doing that well. It's so close in the East, and that's what's making the NBA so good this year.
Clippers, Celtics, Portland Bucks, Spurs, 76ers. If you were going to pick a lock out of those 3 games, who would it be?
The Clips are really difficult to pick at the moment because they're resting so many players. With Kawhi Leonard will be on and off, Paul George coming back. Probably go with the Celtics, even though I think the Clips are a better team. I like the Bucks. The Bucks are the best team in the East, most consistent team, most reliable. You trust them the most. So I'll be on the
We're
Bucks
just
on
making
Friday.
notes and looking
Yeah.
Fletcher and I just
He's been on
circling the
fire,
Bucks.
the Hammer.
We just little quiet circle.
Thank you.
And the Spurs, 76ers, Spurs have been really disappointing, just lacking something. They don't have the fight of past
They kicked
teams.
across.
Really struggling. Play against the 76ers, who really need to start getting back on track if they're going to be a top 2 team.
One of the most amazing things all week, and I'm sure all 3 of you would agree, 17,000 people at the basketball.
Yeah.
That's bigger than
Yeah.
a lot of AFL crowds, a lot of NRL crowds, nearly
A-League.
every Super Rugby crowd, and a lot of A-League crowd. Basketball is
booming.
back.
It was bigger than an NBA game on the same day. It's on fire at the moment. Good things.
Okay,
happening.
I agree totally, and loads of fun to be had by all. Now, we've got a couple of big games this week. Southeast Melbourne Magic and Sydney. Saturday, the line is 2.5. Kings nose in front in terms of the odds at $1.72, 2.13. The Magic.
Yeah, well, the bubble
South
burst
East
a little bit for South East Melbourne. Phoenix, they
Phoenix,
are,
I should
so
say.
living back in the day in the Magic.
Yeah,
I
of
like that though. Sydney will be too good for that. But again, what they're doing is they're toying with teams. They should have well and truly beaten the Hawks by 11 plus, but they just messed around as a cat and mouse and all the rest of it. So I think they'll beat South East Melbourne, but
have a word to him, mate.
I think it'll be tough.
Talking through your kick. Oh, there was a great show back in the day, I remember. Cairns 260, Perth $1.50, line 4.5. Cairns, every time you tip
I can't
against
catch
them,
them.
they
Yeah.
absolutely
No,
pull
They're,
out
they're,
pants down.
they're tough at home. They were good last week. They played with a good
I think
mindset.
they're on a roll.
Perth, they're tough. They beat Perth. That was the big game they
That's
beat
right.
in Perth.
The moral.
Via Cairns.
Melbourne United $1.29, Brisbane 362,
Give us your
7.5.
Panniers,
Tell
This
me.
is my best bet of the weekend. Melbourne United minus 7.5.
Righto.
Also, a little something 11 plus for United
Yeah,
to
we
take
like
care of the
that.
hapless Brisbane Bullets because they are woeful.
Like to talk about tennis, but literally nobody is caring about the Davis Cup, which
Colombia,
happens to be
we're playing, aren't
this
we?
new setup over in Europe.
Colombia.
And it's basically they play all each other rather than they have the home and away thing. And it's a complete cluster for mine as to why it's being done, but they reckon it might reinvigorate Davis
What about
Cup.
Kyrgios? What's your thoughts on Kyrgios being back in the team? Are you happy with that?
Mate, if he wants to be back and Leighton Hewitt wants him back there and Pat Rafter's happy and everybody's happy, why not?
Okay, what if he plays up one more time? Is he banned?
No.
No?
I'm on the kid's side now. I'm flipped.
Yeah, I know you were. You're a
I
heavy
like him.
flipper.
The Gong. So it
Yes.
was the Hunter last week in Newcastle. The Gong this week, $500,000 race.
No, $1 million.
It's $1 million.
Yes.
Beg your pardon. Star of the Seas. I'm going to say it again. It's the Epsom form. Finished second in the Epsom, third in the Epsom. I beg your pardon. Went down to Melbourne. Has come back. Will be winning this race. Good
Well,
odds.
it'll be 5-1 the field. It's a lottery down there. I like Noble Boy at the value, about $14, and maybe El Dorado Dreaming as well.
Yeah, it's actually come back quite nicely.
Each way chance.
And the feature events, WA Guineas and also the racing over
The Railway Stakes.
in Western
race.
Australia.
No,
And the Railway.
not many Eastern state horses over there this year.
Reykjavik and Best of Days.
Best of Days is about the only one that I can really think's got a chance, but the locals probably don't know much about him. Actually, the Velvet King, up and coming horse, it might be hard to beat.
It was an unlucky run at KC, the last start at Ascot in the Guineas race.
KC.
Came from last on a corner.
Is it actually in the Railway Stakes?
It's in the Guineas, WA Guineas. That's why I said the Guineas.
Okay, yep.
That's okay.
All right, we're on.
And that's all on the website, unibet.com.au. Before we get to our bets, Mark Schwarzer with this week's EPL preview.
With the final international break of the year now behind us, all the attention turns back to the Premier League. And what a tasty game we have ahead of us in West Ham v Tottenham. Who would have thought that after 12 games, Spurs would only have 14 points out of a possible 36? And a loss this weekend away for their London neighbours, the Hammers will only intensify the media speculation around Mauricio Pochettino's position at the club. However, a win, and it could well be the kickstart they need to push on towards the top end of the table. And those massive spotlights will refocus onto Manuel Pellegrini and have him sweating over his own future. Crystal Palace are playing at home to Liverpool, which could well be the pivotal match for Liverpool this season. Back in 2013-14, it was the fixture that ultimately cost Liverpool the title after blowing a 3-0 lead at Selhurst Park to draw 3-3. Fast forward to 2019, even though it's only game 13, Liverpool want to continue their momentum after their win against Manchester City 2 weekends ago. As they kick off a couple of hours before City, they could extend their lead over them to 12 points, which would be huge. They will, though, most likely have to do without one of their main men in Mo Salah, who is struggling with an ankle injury. However, if the Reds fail to pick up all 3 points, then Leicester City will no doubt close the gap at the top, as I see them coming away with all the points from Brighton. Unless, of course, Socceroos goalkeeper Matty Ryan produces a performance to remember, which we know could well happen. The biggest game of the weekend, though, by far has to be Pep Guardiola's Manchester City at home to Chelsea in a late kickoff. City are looking vulnerable, and it seems like the perfect time for Chelsea young guns to go to the Etihad and inflict more misery on them. Pep doesn't seem to have any faith in his central defenders, hence the reason why he's still playing Fernandinho the last couple of weeks ahead of a fit again Nicolas Otamendi. The warning sign is still very bright, though, for Chelsea. City have the attacking power to destroy any team. Extreme caution, very much recommended. But again, finally, another game I'm really looking forward to this weekend has to be Sheffield United v Manchester United. Chris Wilder's team has been excellent this season. I was at the last game in London v Spurs, and I still can't believe they didn't come away with all 3 points. They outplayed, they outmuscled, and they outworked the opposition. And I wouldn't bet against that happening again this weekend.
Unfortunately, the bets last week, again, a big duck egg. It all chips in with the basketball, and in the end didn't come out. So it's losing a little bit of its shine, the little trophy, the Beer Pong Champion Award. But at the moment, the ladder still has the great junior out in front.
Just.
Schwarzy.
Well, we're both going backwards together. We're all going backwards.
We're all going
together.
backwards, but except for Schwartzy.
Let's try and find a winner. We've got a few shows left before the end of the year, so going to change up the order a bit. Junior, you go first.
Okay, all right. Slam dunks first of all,
Correct.
of course. I'm going cricket this week. There's test matches played in Australia and New Zealand, so I'm going Australia to beat Pakistan and New Zealand to beat the Poms.
That is a $2.80.
Yes.
Boosted after
We'll
that.
get about
so
$4 hopefully.
$3 or $4. The
Or
generous
$3.50.
Unibet guys. The
There you
two
go.
teams to win the test matches, Brian.
I'm confident about Australia, not so
Okay,
confident.
I'm going NFL again. Very unlucky last week.
As you were the last 5 weeks.
No, I've got them.
No, you haven't.
Anyway, okay, back to NFL. 49ers, the resurgent 49ers to beat the Packers. Cowboys, 7.5 against the Pats. And New Orleans Saints to absolutely give it to the Panthers. About $4 there. I think that will get me back up in the
Back in
second
the
What
game.
about, what
second
about the
spot.
bloke who went karate with his helmet?
I know. What
That's a
about
bit scary.
that? Not life, got the season.
Got the season.
What did you do?
He
So,
took his helmet
he
off
took-
and clocked someone with
Oh,
it.
He was
okay.
defending to the quarterback's hand and just whacked him over the head with it.
Right.
Which is, I think, it's fair. It's okay. You let it do
They
that.
do that in motorsport, don't they?
Yeah, what
Take
about the
helmets
great DK Lilly with the cricket bat? Remember that?
Was 40 years
off.
ago.
Aluminium
Yeah.
bat.
We've
Jump
improved a
window,
bit since then. Hammer.
All
are
right,
you
we've
going
got
again?
Sydney
Good scout.
Kings against Southeast Melbourne. They'll be too good just head to head. I'm going Melbourne United 11 plus, so we get some good odds with that. And I'm going for Adelaide to beat New Zealand, who their culture is totally done. We'll get about $7 for that.
Okay, and I'm going the racing, the Gong Star of the Seas. I mentioned it before. The Ballarat Cup is the feature race at
Ballarat.
or in Victoria at Ballarat. 50 stars. I know
Geez, you
our
love
man,
50 stars.
Kieran Maher is a big fan of Dr. Drill, so I'm going 50 stars to place and Star of the Seas to place in both of those. My slam dunk. And Mark Schwarzer will get his bets in a second or two. Mark,
Hail Mary. Going to the Grange, Kembla Grange on Saturday. Going a win all up, race 7 Broken Arrows into race 8. Trumbull, come on Trumbull.
Trumbull.
That's a win all up there.
Remember that? Was that
Gotta
2 weeks
win.
ago?
Yeah.
Jeez,
Gets
can
a
you
lucky
get on
win.
him,
We've gone
mate?
Trumbull into Sydney Kings.
Can you
Gosh,
get on him?
it's killing us here.
I've gone Kembla as well. Race 3, California Longbow to win into same race you were talking about. Race 6, Lover to place.
Okay, righto.
To place.
A gong.
All right, the Adelaide 36ers
I'm on
plus 3.5 against
on that.
Brisbane. Melbourne United -7 against Brisbane. So obviously,
Jeez, you need a calculator
Brisbane
here,
got a
Hamilton.
couple. We've got Adelaide -5 against New Zealand and Cairns plus 1.5. So we're going to get about 15,
This is
16,
getting very
17
similar to Swartz.
bucks.
This is getting like a Swartz
Is it?
bet.
You can tell it's a
if you can-
desperation stakes, mate.
If you can keep up with all that, you
Yes.
deserve to
Okay.
win.
Sports bets
There you
are
go.
dead set ahead.
Nothing in the Congo at all.
It's on the website because nobody can remember what
I
he
thought we were
said.
told to keep it simple.
I'm all chips in. The same horses, Star of the Seas and 50 stars to
wow.
win.
Wow, you're either none or a gutful
I'm
there, Russ.
all or nothing. All or nothing. And speaking of the Schwartz bet, let's have a look at what he's got to offer this week.
Hi guys, greetings from the south of Spain. Well, this week my slam dunk is Arsenal to beat Southampton, Leicester City to beat Brighton, Liverpool to beat Crystal Palace, and Barcelona to beat Leganes. My Hail Mary is Atalanta to beat Juventus, Real Sociedad to beat Real Madrid, and my match multi for this week is Arsenal to win by 2.5 goals with Aubameyang to score.
Time to wrap things up at odds. Thanks to unibet.com.au. Download the app. Get involved this weekend. Plenty to talk about, including, and I forgot to mention, the Newcastle 500 Unibet sponsored event. So good luck to all the team heading up to Newcastle for the motor racing. It's been a magnificent year, and that street race really just
Did
captures
we get
the whole
invite,
town.
boys, or what?
What's that?
We didn't
I
get
didn't
invite.
I did. I couldn't
Oh,
go.
did you?
Couldn't go.
I got
Do you want
4
to take my
tickets in
invite?
pocket,
Two
but that's
didn't, two
okay.
didn't.
Looking forward to the cricket, Junior.
Yes,
If you were
Australia v Pakistan.
if you were captain, batting or bowling.
Bat first.
Bat first, as usual.
400 on the board and win. Easy.
And
Easy.
I think I can say this with a bit of confidence. Rugby league has finished for the year. There is nothing left.
There is a trial. La Perouse are playing Coogee Wombats down, if you're keen, down the Coogee Oval. But I've got something I'm looking forward to on Friday.
You're geeing me up.
I'm geeing you up.
Sandown Dogs.
Sandown Dogs. Now, this I should have had this as my slam dunk, but I'm going to only for the at odds viewers out there. Sandown race 1, number 2, Whiskey Riot.
That's the heat.
Get in
of
the queue.
Melbourne Cup.
Yeah, to
Okay.
heat.
And
Melbourne United 11 plus. They will smash the Brisbane Bullets.
Come on, Huey.
enjoy the week, whatever
on,
you're doing. Unibet.com.au. We'll see you next time.